Let's just start with some stretching. And up and down. Everything that we do has presence of mind. And it's the same presence of mind that the action would require if it was difficult, if it was strenuous. So imagine you're pulling something here and it's really difficult. Your mind would have to focus on it and be with the action. If you got distracted, you'd become incapable. I just imagine that the action I'm attempting is difficult. It requires real concentration and focus and determination. And those qualities, we'd like them to originate in our core. So to pull the hand down here, I tighten my belly. My belly tightens and that starts the action. Everything draws into the belly everything comes out of the belly. So when I send the hand up, it's my lower back muscles that are strengthening, and here it's the belly that's tightening. Rub the hands. Relaxing the shoulders into it. Trying to increase the temperature a little. It also feels as though I'm rubbing my hands smooth. Now, rubbing the knees. And again, I want it coming from this action of my torso, pulling my head forwards with my belly muscles, pulling my head back with my back muscles. And that's translating into the hands. And alternating. Now I'm really twisting, allowing the head turn side to side. Rubbing the hands again. The mind between the hands. It's like you're rubbing your mind. Like you're trying to make fire, with the stick that they twist on the piece of wood. And then the hands on the dantian, firmly, almost like you're pushing the belly in a little bit. And then tipping the head. Again, I want to feel the two sets of muscles. One set is tightening to pull me over. The other set is stretching, and then these tighten. And then the hands out. And now tightening the belly, trying to pull that point on the surface, which corresponds to the Danchen, right in towards the spine. And then pushing it back out again, using the muscles in the lower back to extend it further than resting point, then back in. Hands behind for 1 minute. The part of your spine beneath the arms, really driving down into the sitting bones, into the chair. And the thymus is directing upwards, thrusting upwards, almost aggressively. Then back into prayer for a minute. Gravity. Feel that particularly operating upon your sacrum. My sacrum is the plumb on the end of the plumb line. Gravity is pulling it down. And the plumb, it's like a cone. It's a conical. So it ends in a point, and that point is the tailbone. The gravity, the earth is drawing, pulling my mass, which is concentrated in my sacrum, downwards. At the same time, the heavens, which is like a vacuum surrounding the earth, enveloping the earth, is drawing pulling, sucking my spirit upwards. My body is sinking, my spirits are lifting. That draw upwards is ever present in the same way that the draw downwards upon my body is. If I lose sight of this, if I stop feeling this draw upwards, it's because my mind has taken over. Bring your mind to that lift upwards. Allow your hands to float upwards, like the puppet man again, drawing me up. And just try and notice how when you allow that and you really get into it, it allows your body to just sink down even more. We're trying to separate body and spirit. And then let the hands drop down. And now, if anything, the body will rise up a little bit. And again, hands up, we sort of float upwards, and I get driven down into my legs, into my root. The higher up my hands come, the lower down my body is driven. And then the hands come back to earth, if you like. And again, the hands rise, they're being drawn upwards. And then down again. And again. Real sense of flowing upwards, but also real sense of flowing downwards, body and spirit. And then one more. Yeah. And now turning. And here I want to feel how, as soon as I start turning, I'm producing that centrifugal force, which doesn't simply throw everything out, it also lifts the body. So when I turn, I become lighter, more cheerful. Try and get into the habit of counting threes some of the time. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Let the head turn. If you keep the head still, you counter it. So it's the movement in the head that we're looking for. Really turning. Remember the King and I with Yul Brynner and Deborah Carr. You know, when they dance, they finally realize that they're falling in love. And they dance, and it starts off very stiff and formal because he's the king and he can't relax. But by the end, they're spinning around the room. He's whirling her around, but he's also spinning. So everything is turning by the time they finish. And then when they've stopped, they're in love. And it's acknowledged. I always think of Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady. I could have danced all night. You know, it's like that tune is just going on. And then slipping into the second one. Then into the third one. And just allowing the arms to really loosen up. And that really comes from having allowed the head and the neck to loosen up. When we try to immobilize the head by stiffening the neck, then it reduces all the movement in the whole body. Into riding horse, but feeling that melting. The operative word for sinking is melting. The solid is trying to liquefy and flow with that pull down. And really the operative word for the rising is just evaporation. So a sense that the liquid or the solid is just becoming nothing. It's just floating upwards. The image of just having come out of the shower. The water's trickling down, the steam is rising. Our anxious thinking mind is like a heavy lid upon the pot of the heart. All of these centers, all of the dantians are like cauldrons, cooking pots from which steam, vapor, and aroma are rising. The Chinese character for qi originally was just a pot of cooking rice with steam rising up. So when I lighten up, my heart can express, but it can only express upwards. It can then come out into the world. But I need to take the lid off it for it to properly express. And it's the same with this one. You know, if I can remove the lid, then it's like I have this divergent beam of light that's just directed upwards. And now, what I want to do is sink. I want to bend my knees and go down a little bit further. But I want to do it as though there's no gravity. So normally we would just relax and gravity would take me down. And now I'm pulling with my legs to draw myself down. And then I drive the heels down and push myself up. So if I want my body to go down, I have to pull the ground upwards. So my legs are trying to lift off the ground when I pull myself down. You can imagine your feet are sort of having to grip the ground. And like you're trying to lift your knees upwards. And that's taking you down towards the ground. And then you just put your mind in the heel and inject into the ground to bring the body up. So I'm pulling the ground upwards. And then I'm pressing down with my heels, pulling the ground up, pushing down. Sinking into the root, rising from the root. So here's as though someone is pressing down on your shoulders, so you really have to work to get the body to come up. And then here it's as though someone is hugging you from behind and doesn't want to let you down. So I really have to work my legs to suck myself down. And then push. Bending the legs. I want that to become a real work phase rather than simply relaxing and letting gravity do it for me. I pull. I push. Pull. And again, this is the belly tightening. And then this is the lower back tightening. So the belly and the hamstrings are connected, and the lower back and the quadriceps are connected. So I tighten the belly and tighten the hamstrings, and that draws me down. And then I tighten my lower back and my quads and drive upwards. Feel what's happening in the hands, fingers straightening and extending and splaying, hands becoming fists as you go down. Same action in the feet, toes opening, extending and splaying, and then the toes crunching up to try and make fists with your feet. Bending the legs. You're effectively trying to pull your feet up into your dantian. And then straightening the legs, extending the feet away from the dantian. alternating that action with the two legs. So as you pull with one leg, you're pushing with the other leg. And that basically moves you side to side. So I'm trying to now, I'm straightening this leg, but then I pull with it. So I'm effectively trying to pull the foot up into my groin without it leaving the ground. And now exactly the same thing, but in from bow and arrow, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing. Feel the activity in the little finger and the little toe. That reaches out the most. And so it's the one that starts to come pulling back. Change the feet. Pulling into the core, extending from the core. And now, from the figure of 8. I want this exercise to basically not really feel that different than doing the two circles. I'm doing a circle here, and at this point here, it's sort of branching. The energy is going into this side, but the arm is continuing the circle here. Back to the sacrum. The arms lift. 3. And then riding horse is, the arms are now containing that lift, like you're making a container. The container itself is sinking down, but what it contains is lifting upwards. Feel the outside edges, big toes pressing into the ground. Toes feel like some distance in front of you, they would actually meet. The heels are digging down and cutting under. And so is my tail. My tail is digging backwards, going down, and then rolling under. Like it's digging the ground like this all the time. Let's try just lifting the foot and pulling up the knee. Pointing the toes down. Really anchoring with that big toe of the supporting leg and trying to point the other big toe right down. So the foot is always threatening to cramp up because it's trying to clench effectively into a fist. The more you pull the knee up, the more you can sink down, drop your sacrum and tail down the supporting leg. You want to just keep going with this until you feel that curvature in the lower back has just disappeared at this point. And then lifting the foot and pulling the heel into the buttock. So I'm trying to drive my knee downwards, really stretching the front of the thigh. You can use the thumb to probe into the sole of the foot. That needs a lot of work, a lot of probing and prodding. And if you find a place that's tender, just concentrate on it, push into it gently. Just trying to find the sensitive parts of the foot and work on them. So the reason they're sensitive is largely because we never go into them. They're like no-go areas. And we just want to open everything up so everything's accessible. And then bringing the foot up into the groin. So it's where the foot would be if you were in half lotus. Yeah, you can have a hand on the wall for these because, I mean, they're balance exercises, but really we're going for the stretch more than worrying about the balance. And the balance does become a worry, and then that will make you tense, and then you won't be able to stretch so much. Exercises like this are really important as we get older. I have a class and there's a woman in it who's the same age as my mother, so 82, and she has no problems with these. But when we first started them over 10 years ago, she did. She was wobbling all the time. So practice does actually make perfect eventually. One more. Okay, and then toes hooking down. And now a little bit of this one. And trying to get the tail swinging. Tail, the little fingers, the little toes, and the peripheral vision. They're all together. And that's where the energy is, where everything is clear and distinct. There's no energy there. And just trying to splay the toes as much as possible. And then you just allow them to just come down, but I sense that they're trying to curl so that it's like the tips of the toes want to touch the ground rather than the pads of the toes. The way you touch things with your fingertips, if you're trying to be really careful and delicate, same feeling in the feet, they're capable of that. Okay, good.